Okay.
Okay, thank you. We can all stand for the pledge of the flag. Flag of the United States of America.
United States of America,
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
that stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right. So, can I have a motion to appoint clerk pro tem? For Michelle, Mark, and Linda. Questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, welcome back, Shelley. All right, and I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on June 9th and the special meeting on June 17th. Dino and Lynn, questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain? The minutes are approved. Do we have any public comment?
Aye.
Public comments?
Nobody.
Okay, that's fine.
Can't really hear you.
Oh, you know what? Hang on, let me move the microphone closer. Oh. Okay. Okay, so then we're gonna try to sneak up a bit again. So we're on to reports. So the first thing we want to talk about is the senior parade table that we have scheduled for Friday. I really don't know too many of the details about this. John, did you have some things that you wanted to share about that?
Yeah, sure. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. So Friday evening at 7 o'clock, the senior class will be recognized with a parade, a drive-through parade on Front Street, so just near the school. I was just thinking, I like to attend, and I was opening up an invite to other board members to come join. And I mentioned it to Jeff. I guess we can discuss rules about number of board members that can, congregate outside of a board meeting. But if, only a couple people want to come, that's fine. I was going to put up a table and maybe decorate it a bit for the class.
Yeah, John, we do not need to be concerned with the quorum. We're not meeting for business. So we would be okay with that.
Okay, great.
And so, John, do you know where the table's gonna be set up at?
I was going to get over there a little early and maybe set up somewhere on the gazebo side in the little park there, just on Front Street.
I'm sorry, did you say that the parade's at 7?
It starts at 7, yes.
Okay,
Staging at 6:30, starts at 7.
okay, so yeah, I'll be there with you.
Me
Okay.
too.
All right, I'll bring a couple tables. If you want to bring a couple chairs and whatnot, maybe a sign or two. We'll try to make it a little festive.
And I understand you'll have to probably camp out the night before.
Do you want us to bring our own chairs?
Yeah, bring your own chair, like a camping chair or something. And the parade will probably be 30, 40 minutes long, I would guess.
And if anybody has any concerns about parking, you can always park at my building, because I'm just like a few minutes walk from that location. So my building's actually 220 Front Street. And so you can park behind the building on the side of it. There's plenty of parking for us.
Oh, cool.
So,
Okay.
park it over there also. Any other comments or questions or thoughts on the parade? All right, I'm going to pass over to the superintendent now.
All right, thank you. We have capital improvement project updates. So Cliff, you want to share with the new developments?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I just want to share with you that capital project is now moving in some different buildings. So to begin in Tauga Hills Elementary, working in the restrooms. When you walk into the building, you turn left, right ahead, there's student restrooms. So all those restrooms have been gutted and they're going to start restoring those restrooms, refurbishing those restrooms. It'll be brand new by the fall. Also, they have started excavating the area in front where the secure vestibule will go. And with that, they've taken down that canopy area and now they're starting to dig to pour the concrete and get that going. So it's pretty exciting getting some work done at Tauga Hills. And at Clayton Avenue, they're finishing up the abatement that's taking place there. They will have all their vehicles out of there by Thursday, if not Friday morning, just in time for our car parade and our graduation on Saturday. So that was the push to make sure all of that work was done so we'd have access to the back parking lot. And so that's happening. If you drive by Clayton Avenue, you notice in the front with that secure vestibule, they have dug for the foundation. They've poured the footing course of concrete, and now they're getting ready to pour the concrete walls that will be the foundation for the secure vestibule. So that's pretty exciting as that moves along. Also at Glenwood, they've began some work there. And again, there's a set of restrooms that they're starting to renovate. So again, it's going to be a complete gut of those facilities. And we have brand new restrooms there. And they're also, next week, they'll start some abatement in the kitchen floor area to take care of that tile that had some asbestos in it. And as we move along, we're also updates here on African Road Elementary. In that area, they're making some great progress. Many of the walls that was constructed for the new office area and the counseling center, all those walls have sheetrock on them now. They're actually starting to paint those walls. And the classrooms are moving right along. Also, they did renovate all those classrooms. They took everything out they needed to, the floors and ceilings and that type of thing. So now they're actually starting to reconstruct the classrooms. So that's pretty exciting. Some areas that might not be so exciting, but it's very important is in the basement with the air handlers and the HVAC systems. All that equipment now is coming in and that's being installed, and all the all new duct work and those air handlers and HVAC. So that'll make that building much more pleasurable complex there come fall. So that's about it for the capital project update.
Thanks, Cliff.
You're welcome.
Any questions on the capital project? No? Okay. Next, the graduation update. John shared with you a little bit what's going on for Friday night, but today, tomorrow, and Thursday, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., the students have a chance to drive up to the high school and pick up their academic pins. They are in. This also gives them a chance for any more photos that they want to take. And it can be done by the clock tower or the front entrance of the school. It can be done by the Golden Bear itself. It's out there. And they can also do it at the stadium. So that's going on for the next 3 days. Then the big one that seems to be really popular at this point in time, at least from what I'm hearing, is the class of 2020 car parade scheduled for Friday night. The staging is at 6:30. We're getting all the cars together. Last I heard, I thought there's over 150 cars that the kids will have a chance to decorate and be part of the parade. We've been working with the town on this. Town supervisor has done a tremendous job for us, taking care of all the requirements of filing with the town. He's also lined up that we'll have fire trucks, police cars, and the ambulance if necessary to lead the parade and try to make it special for the students. So it is along Front Street. It will It will come up length of Front Street, come across in front of Central, across to Clayton Avenue and into the parking lot there. And I do know that they've been trying to get the word out to staff so that any staff that wants to show up and be along the parade route, again, make it special for the kids as much as possible. On Saturday, we do have an in-person graduation ceremony. Actually, there's 5 sessions. It'll start as early as 9 o'clock in the morning, the first one, and the last one, the 5th one, is scheduled to start at 3:25 p.m. Again, each session is limited to 150 people, as put out by the governor. That will be for students and 2 tickets, which most likely will be the parents. It will take place in our stadium itself. We will have enough staff, hopefully, to keep things moving along, prevent any congestion going on and stuff like that. So we'll try and get through for the students each time. Now, again, I put out an email. Any board member, board that isn't scheduled to be here for the ceremony, but if any board member has a family member that they need to be part of the ceremony, if you would let me know, we will try to work that in.
Now, can I ask, does the certifying board member, does that need to be the president, or can it be somebody who's serving in the president's capacity?
I think it's somebody serving in that capacity.
So what I'd like to offer is that since we're going to have 5 ceremonies in total, I'd certainly be more than willing to sit there and share the responsibility of certifying diplomas at individual, for individual ceremonies that we're going to have. I know that I definitely want to be participating in the second one at 10 o'clock, but if anybody would like to certify at any of the other 4, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to share that duty. Since we're not all going to necessarily be able to do it the way that we normally like to, I figured this would be one of the ways I could we kind of share the celebration that way.
Okay. Okay.
Could you give us the times on the 5 sessions?
Well, right now, the sessions are scheduled for the first one at 9 a.m. in the morning. The second one is scheduled for 10:25. Third one is scheduled for 11:45. The fourth one is scheduled for 2 p.m. And the 5th is scheduled for 3:25.
Thank you.
Okay?
Are the students divided alphabetically?
Yes. That ran into some issues, right? Right as soon as it went out, people wanted to, set up who's going to be in the 150, but there's no way to manage that, so it's strictly alphabetical. Okay, next, food service. Cliff, you have information?
Yes. Yeah, thank you. So some exciting news here is went back and did the counts on the number of meals that we served since school closure took place. Ready for this number? 89,834 meals were served through Vestal during this time. That was as of today. So that's pretty exciting. What news we can share with you going forward is that we are going to continue the lunch program and breakfast program throughout the summer to the end of August. And that will take place on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And what's different this time is that it's enough food for 7 days a week. So that to help students and those families throughout the summer months. So beginning in July, it'll be for 7 days a week. They'll have enough food. And they pick that food up on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or it's delivered with our SROs, just like it has been. So it's pretty exciting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, Dr. Lamash will share some information with you. She did a survey of our remote learning from the past 4 months. And I think she's got some interesting information. It may not be complete, but she's got something to share with us. And this will be used, information that can be helpful as we move forward with plans for reopening in September. So, Dr. Lamash?
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Hi.
We've been doing a lot of data collection over the last few weeks, culminating in the survey of students in grades 6 through 12 and the survey of all our parents in grades K through 12. And also included in this is a survey of our teachers, our faculty. I met with all grade levels and departments over the last 3 weeks and then gave them a form to complete to get their feedback on home learning. So as Jeff said, there's a lot of information here. I actually have a document that's about 200 pages long of just anecdotal data of all the different information that's been submitted to us through these various surveys. But what I'd like to share with you tonight is really just a synopsis, something in a nutshell that I pulled from the survey of students and parents that we did by way of Google Forms. And I want to thank Patrick Clark in advance for his help in organizing these slides. So this is exciting. And it really speaks to some of the questions you've had over the last few months related to home learning. So I'm going to share my screen with you right now and talk you through just some of the data. This isn't all, it's not comprehensive, but it really captures some key elements of what we've learned over the last few months. So there's two surveys I'm going to share. The first one was the survey we did of students in the middle school and high school. Of approximately 1,700 students were surveyed, and we received back 923 responses. So that's roughly a 56% survey response. But part of the survey is about asking how did you do on home learning, and it's all through technology. So we're very aware that this 56% are students who are online and accessing technology. So we always have to remember that there are students here who may not have been accessing this, and that's a whole other area of data collection that we're working on through our buildings. But I do think that what we're learning in these surveys is very much representative of what we've heard elsewhere. So just so you know, when we asked our students what grade you're in, and you can get a general sense, high rate of participation, 6th grade, 8th grade, but across the board, roughly 16% on average, 16% on average. So I feel this is a nice representative amount of the 7 grade levels. So the first question, what platform, we asked our students, did you prefer the most? And it was fairly unanimous that Google Classroom was the preferred platform among our students. Next was Edgenuity. And our anecdotal data, like, in the box where we asked for other comments, there was a lot of feedback on Edgenuity, and was not well received. Certainly it's a platform that we think works well in certain contexts, but we also have to look at what were some of the areas where we could improve upon that. Zoom was not preferred. At the elementary level, Zoom was a preferred medium, but this survey is for students in grades 6 through 12, but we did learn through other comments that Zoom was well received at the elementary school. But at the secondary level, our students really preferred Google Classroom. And this is significant because our summer professional development, which we're currently organizing right now, this data right here is really going to help drive a lot of what we do this summer.
Laura, do you have any reasons why Google Classroom?
Tony, at the secondary level, based on the data, the anecdotal data, our students, and you'll see in other sides, our students really liked being able to set their own schedule, have flexibility to work at their own pace. And Google Classroom allowed for that. It allowed for some independence and autonomy in ways that Edgenuity and Zoom didn't. Zoom
Okay.
was a scheduled meeting. Edgenuity was very much a structured, paced program. And the feedback we got is our students, what they liked most about home learning was flexibility and the ability to set their own schedule. And our teachers shared that they'd be getting emails from students at like 2 a.m. We're finding out that our students worked best at night. Our teachers didn't. But that flexibility piece in the older student, we've known this, but a lot of our data confirmed that. And that's good to know.
Thank you.
And that was corroborated by the feedback I got from teachers who said, look, our kids are emailing us all night. We're sleeping. So Google Classroom allowed for that flexing of our different schedules. Good question, Tony. Thank you. Another question we asked our students, how many hours a day did you spend participating in lessons and completing coursework? What's interesting here is roughly 75% of our students spend 2 or more hours doing coursework every day. So again, this is of the 56% of the students who responded, but that's still significant. And all told, 23% 1 to 2 hours, 28% 2 to 3 hours, 22% 3 to 4 hours, and again 4 to 5 hours 13.4, and greater than 6 hours 7.8. And then as for 0 to 1 hours, 5.2%. So the kids were working. They were working.
I have a question. This is us obviously self-reporting. So I'm curious about the capabilities. I know there's some platforms that from the previous slide that you do have the capability to actually just look up how much time kids were spending on it. So I guess I'm curious, how well does this match up what they actually did?
Well, Mark, Edgenuity would be, I think, the platform where you could really track student time on task. And we had,
Schoology does as well.
Yeah, Schoology was not used widely, though. In fact, what we're realizing is Schoology is a well-used platform used at the secondary level, but Google Classroom is overshadowing that at this point. But we haven't really pulled that data. I know with Edgenuity and Schoology, then we haven't pulled that data yet in terms of self-reporting. I know that it's been monitored, but I don't have that data here. But that's a good question to look at and answer. How does this rate with that? This is an anonymous survey and it's self-reporting. So I think there may be some fidelity here. Just the fact that 5% said 0 to 1 hours. But again, I think, Mark, this is kind of a snapshot. The anecdotal data that I have of just the commentary really says a lot as well. But for me, what this says is the kids were working, clearly working. What were the benefits of online learning? And this was where you choose all that apply. So this wasn't just a single answer. Students could select multiple. And we wanted it this way because we wanted to kind of rate and gain some feedback on the different levels. And we got that. And this is where, with Google Classroom, if you can see, 78.1% said they liked the flexible schedule. Then 61.8 said more time to complete work, again, flexibility in controlling their own schedule. After that was more independence. And then coming in after that was more time with friends, working from home. And the areas that didn't seem to come up as strong benefits were participating in Zoom and Google Meet, which are video conferencing like this, what we're doing. Fewer social distractions. We thought, excuse the typo there, I just noticed it. We thought that would be high, it wasn't. So this says to us that our secondary students like that the autonomy that home learning afforded them.
I could tell you that students do not like being on camera. When I try to talk with students and give them, give them options, or the possibility of talking in groups, no, thank you. But if it's one-on-one and they could do it on their phone and you spend the time looking at, the top of their head and the ceiling because they just don't want to be on camera. The selfie generation here, they
Ironic, yes.
yes, they do not want to be on camera. If it was automatically anonymous and no picture of themselves, they might feel differently. But even if it's just one-on-one, like I said, most of my conversations were with the top of somebody's head because they would strategically place their cameras, so they just don't want to be in camera.
And Mark, that's going to drive some professional development this summer because with video conferencing and real-time or synchronous lessons, how can we do it in a way where students are comfortable? And so what are some strategies where we use Zoom that allow for students to be maybe not, how can we use Zoom in a way that allows students to feel comfortable, perhaps using different strategies, um, um, to mute video, to share, to use breakout rooms. So, but one thing that did come up in the data is that Zoom conferences themselves were not popular, but office hours were. So when teachers had office hours where they conferenced one-on-one with students,
Mm-hmm.
those, like, I think what you're saying, students were more comfortable there than in that big group setting. Yeah. So a question we asked is, did internet problems, and this was an important one, did internet problems significantly affect your ability to access online coursework?
Yes.
Roughly 80% said no, but 20% said yes. So that begs the next question of, well, why then? What was preventing you to, your ability to access? So of those students that answered yes, we then asked them an additional question. What made internet access a barrier for you? And this was a question for parents as well, or your student. And here they could check multiple answers. So I assumed, often you frame a question making an assumption that they didn't have access to internet. What's interesting here is of the students who reported, so again, they already have access to some type of internet, but of these students, not having internet access was small. What really became evident is the quality of access. My internet signal was only good in certain rooms. And certainly when I was meeting with teachers, they would often be moving throughout their house trying to get a better signal. My internet signal is not reliable. I don't have fast enough connection. Some could only access through their cell phone. And then others, there was just a whole host of commentary around different barriers that was more anecdotal. So we have that compiled as well. But this was the barrier there. So the quality of the signal. Other than those issues, all students responded to this. What barriers did you face with online learning? And this is like, so what prevented you from being more successful at it? And here, what the students reported is keeping up with communications, emails, messaging, organizing daily and weekly tasks and assignments, and then access to a quiet workspace or area. So this speaks to what we've now learned is that the organization of communication assignments, meetings, was overwhelming at times, and our parents would say that as well. And you've said that as a board. It took us a while to really figure out how do we structure home learning in a way that allows these schedules to be manageable by students and parents, especially if there's multiple children in the household. So this is big, and this confirms what we've learned through various conversations we've had over the last few months with parents and with teachers. I next want to share with you our parent survey. So these are parents, we surveyed all grades here, and we received a total of 875 responses.
Laura, can I ask a quick question? How were these distributed?
Electronically. It's a Google form. So it was with Anne, I believe Anne sent it out through grade level teams. Dawn, at the high school, it was sent out, the counselor sent it out through their Google Classroom. And I believe Dawn also sent it out through her weekly communication with parents.
And was it sent to everyone or just a selection? I'm only asking because I didn't see it personally.
Really?
Same answer, I may have missed it in all my.
But you know, one of the problems is people have been buried by emails, Christina, so it may have gotten buried, you know. My understanding is it was sent out globally to everyone through Anne and Dawn. I mean, and we sent it out multiple times. So yeah. But that's a good question. Right now, the survey is closed. Do you think I should reopen it? Say again, Christina?
I would personally be interested in responding, and I don't know if there are other methods of delivery, or maybe now that things have slowed down, people might be able to take a deep breath and look at it again.
Yeah. Well, let me look into that and see what we can do, and if there's other means of sharing this out. I think that we've got enough responses that I think, and it really.
I agree with that.
You probably have the trends. You
Yeah,
probably have.
yeah. So with parents, the question we asked our parents is, what devices are your students using? And again, they can select multiple. It was the laptop computer, 60%. After that was a smartphone.
Yep.
Tablet and iPad. And then here's school issued Chromebook as 1/3 of our respondents, and that's significant. Desktop computer, personal Chromebook, and then there's a whole host of other devices, but this gives you a good sense. So PCs, laptops are still, desktops, laptops are still out there. Smartphone, though, is significant.
That's what they're looking at 90% of the time anyways. So when messages and notifications pop up, that's what
A
they see.
smartphone would not lend itself well, though, to work completion. So I think it's good.
They'll try it though. They'll try it. They'll type an English essay on that with their thumbs.
Amazing.
They'll try it. Yeah.
And then with our parents, we asked, what different technology platforms has your student used for their classes? Now, remember, we asked our students which one was their most popular one, right? Which did they prefer? So with Google Classroom, that with our parents, that they saw was the one that students used the most. Here, while Zoom is not popular, it was well used. And remember now, these are also our elementary parents as well. And Zoom was used widely at the elementary level, and elementary students were much more responsive to it. Email was also a big source of communication. Here, Mark, you can see Schoology was used wisely, primarily at the high school. Edgenuity, Google Meet, and other. So here we asked our parents, how much time did you spend supporting your students with coursework each day? And what we find is, as you can see, 12% didn't, about a half hour, 14.5, about an hour, 14.5, 1.5 hours, about 10%, about 2 hours, 15%. This is significant, more than 2 hours, a quarter of our parents that reported. And then there was just different commentary, and the other, it was more anecdotal. But over 50% of our parents spent at more than an hour and a half assisting their students. And again, this is hard. And this includes our elementary parents. And at the elementary level, our students needed a lot more parental support. There was greater autonomy at the secondary level. And that came through in the comments.
Or maybe you'll get to this, but I'd be curious to see, like when I personally think about this question, is the question, I assume this is, I have 4 kids, so how much time did you spend supporting the 4 children? I'd be interested, and maybe I'll get to that, but how much time spent per student type of question, or multiple students, something like that?
That's a good question. We can work that. That data's not here right now, Christina. That's on the back end. We can pull that from it. That's a question in terms of where we look at the number of students and we take it and we kind of come up with an average. That we can do. As I look at this slide, though, I would say that on average, our parents at least an hour or more a day were spent supporting students. And I think for our working families, that was hard. I think a lot of the commentary I got was, it was hard working with, balancing all the different needs that they had. But that's certainly something we can look at. Did internet problems significantly affect your students' ability to access online? Now, these are our parents reporting. And our students said yes was 20%. Our parents said around 10% yes. So we again asked there, what was the barrier? And this is interesting because this aligns with kind of a pattern that happened with our Chromebook distribution. If you notice, 72% of our families said that multiple family members needed to use the internet at the same time. And what we found with Chromebooks is that up until about 3-4 weeks ago, we were distributing Chromebooks regularly. And what we found is there was an initial push to get Chromebooks out, but over time, more and more families requested Chromebooks because they needed more, that they had multiple people in their household using devices and they didn't have enough devices. So the distribution of Chromebooks was, I think, a way to help us address multiple family members in a household working from home, learning from home, that this whole school closing really stressed the amount of technology in a household. The households just weren't prepared for it. What were other challenges? Our parents said that one of the biggest challenges for them in terms of working with their students was the lack of conversation and social engagement, that they really saw their children struggling with that. And that, by the way, came through in what the students reported in their commentary. They missed school, they missed being in school. Many didn't like home learning. It was not a good experience. The students really missed the social engagement. Then organizing weekly tasks and keeping up with course assignments, keeping up with communication, all that organizational work was also a big stressor for students. And then submitting assignments in digital format. We learned now that many of our students don't know how to submit assignments. We learned that our students are not necessarily tech savvy. They're good in social media, but they can't use technology for learning. So that's going to be a big challenge for us next year as we retool to be more intentional in teaching our students to learn with technology. In fact, that's going to be a big focus.
Laura, my own personal experience and opinion on this is, while they are much more capable than generations past, perseverance is and willpower is a concern. And if they don't submit something correctly first 2 or 3 clicks, then even if it's done, maybe it doesn't get turned in. And I keep banging this drum, but in my opinion, the biggest thing we can do to help when it comes to a lot of this is as much uniformity and simplicity as possible. So it's maybe not even that, oh, we think they're savvy and they're not. It's like, I think it's more, we think they have the attention span and the willpower to go to 3 different things and click 15 times when they don't have that perseverance. That's my observation.
Yeah. And Mark, again, the information we got supports that. Less is more. Less is more in terms of technology, in terms of assignments, essential learning, to really simplify things. If we're in this, if we're in this situation again, but nonetheless, even if whatever happens next year, we know, and our faculty have shared this across the board, we have to be much more intentional in teaching our students how to use instructional technology for learning.
Mhm.
We can't assume that because they're savvy with social media, that they know how to use it for learning, and that the best thing we can do for our students is teach them that kind of resilience and perseverance. Um, and so that's something we're working on. I'm actually working with our library media specialist on that right now, in terms of some of the digital media and literacy that we need to explore. So just to wrap up, and again, I've been pouring through pages of documents. We've learned so much. Really, it's been transformative. But really key, the need for one platform. We need one platform. We transitioned to Google Classroom about 3-4 weeks in, but we have teachers using Schoology, and out of respect for them, I mean, they've invested years in building a Schoology platform. We have to make time for them to transition. All their work is in Schoology. So we respect that. We respect our teachers who put the time into that platform. So next year will be a year for us to really help our teachers transition between the two platforms. But we are anchoring in Google Classroom, and we're scheduling a lot of summer professional development around that. Better coordination of the scheduling of video conferences and assignments. Clearly, we now know we need to align to the master schedules and the students' daily schedules in terms of how we structure home learning, if that's the case. Greater consistency in the delivery of instruction. You know, we make agreements, each department, each grade level, you're going to do this many conferences a week, this many assignments a week, greater consistency there. This was big. We need to help our parents. We need to do workshops for our parents, one way or the other, open or closed next year. We're doing workshops for our families on educational technology. So Google Classroom, whatever it is we use, Zern, Seesaw, Edgenuity, we really need to help our parents be more conversant in it as well. Clear expectations and parameters for the completion and evaluation of work. As you know, we really had to be very sensitive this year to the learning curve. Going into next year, if we still are under school closure, how can we be more structured there? And I got to tell you, the feedback overwhelmingly is kids miss school, parents miss school, and nothing can replace being in school. And we know that now more than ever. But as I read through all the narrative, all of the things the students have written, you know, they miss school. Um, they liked some aspects of home learning. That's not to say they didn't like it, but they really missed the social component of being in school. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, but I think, you know, based on all the questions you've been asking over the last few months, I'm hoping this might help you have a better sense of what we've accomplished over those months. So any questions, comments?
Yeah, Laura, when you finish this, can the board members get a copy of it?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's still in draft form, Tony, and I don't want to send you 200 pages.
No, please.
So we're still working on, you know, we're still working on thematizing it and coding it. So, but this is also this document that we've compiled is really going to be part of, right now we're working on, Cliff, Jeff, and I compiling the committees that we're going to be using to work towards reopening. So in my mind, this is also going to be very important data for those committees to work with as we tool for reopening. Whatever happens, you know, there's, even if we're full reopening, there's recovery work that needs to be done. And this data will help us as well in terms of addressing the gaps in the recovery as we restore schooling. So, but yes, we'll have something for you. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks.
Others?
The only thing as soon as this slide we're looking at popped up, I kind of wanted to just do some jumping jacks and applaud, because everything you're saying here, I just agree with. So the only thing I'd add to that last sentence is nothing can replace being in school, and nothing can replace the relationships, particularly teachers with students.
You know,
Just technology is, and it's a tool, but it just can't replace the people at all. Can't.
that's unanimous. I talked to all the teachers. It's unanimous. A critical feature of learning is the relationship between the teacher and the student, and the students and the students, and the principal and the students. Those rich, lively relationships, that they will never be replaced. And this has taught us all that. And it's really helping us frame how we use technology. It is a tool. It will never replace people. So, thank you, Mark. You're living this life too, so you know exactly what we're up against. Well, thank you for letting me share. This is all exciting data. It's going to make us much better, much stronger. Whatever befalls us in September, we're going to be better because of it. So thank you.
Hey, Laura, can I ask a question? Were you planning to do a similar survey to the teachers? If not the same questions, but,
John,
along.
what I did with the teachers is over the last 3 weeks, I scheduled grade level and department meetings. So I met with every teacher, over 300 teachers over the last 3 weeks, and I talked to them. So I met by grade levels at the elementary, special education, by K-12 departments, music, art. At the secondary level, I met with every department, science, math, social studies. And then we distributed a Google survey that was really just open-ended questions, which is compiled. So I didn't give them this numeric kind of survey, but basically I spoke with every teacher in the district, and then they had the opportunity to write their thoughts to us. So that's been compiled in this document as well. So that was how we did the data collection with teachers. And it was very rich. The teachers, again, really did an amazing job. And just their resilience. They struggled like our students with the loss of the relationships, but then they really went on to talk about what they were successful at. So I do have all that data as well.
Because I asked Mario to consider a portion of the board retreat to look at, a lot of these topics that you brought up, and then what I would call, even bigger, so questions I have in my mind are, and I'm sure it's too early to assess this, but what has been the quality impact on distance learning versus regular classroom teaching? Are we going to see an impact on standardized test scores? Or I know that's hard to judge on just a few months of class time, but if we go through another half year of this or a full year of this, things like that. And then, is there anything out of this experience that we carry forward once school returns to normal? I mean, I would tend to agree as a parent, that nothing can replace the actual school experience. But I just wonder. I mean, there's got to be a couple of things that we've learned actually works well. Um, and by the way, I see this in where I work. There's people say, "Hey, John, we don't want you to come back to the office. We're going to turn your office into a conference room or something." The business community is looking at it as a way to save money, right? I don't have to pay for an office building. I can cut space and utility costs and whatnot. So I wonder about a lot of the longer potential impacts that, good and bad. But I mean, that's probably more appropriate for like a board retreat, hour, 2 hour session.
Absolutely. And, John, we have that data, and our teachers, they saw they learned a lot in this process, and they really learned how to use technology. It was really sink or swim, and they're grateful for that. And there definitely was a lot of positives to it, but again, in the context of what they missed, which was the classroom. And the emphasis on social development is big. Honestly, testing as we know it, I would anticipate it's going to be vastly different. One thing that teachers noted at the elementary level, especially, is usually by March, is you get your kids ready, and usually the trip from February to June is when, you know, all the dots connect. You spend the first half of the year setting up your course, getting your kids connected to learning, and then usually it's release time. By February, you have a dynamic in your classroom and learning really takes off, and that was interrupted, especially at the primary levels, K1, 2, literacy, early literacy. Remember, for a 5 or 6 year old, a half a year is a lot of time. And the disruption of early literacy learning, I think we're going to be dealing with that for years to come. Those are critical formative months from March, April, May, June, when students really progress in the primary grades around literacy. I mean, their brains are actually physically developing at that time, and that was disrupted. So we will be seeing some impacts, and our teachers are already speaking about that. Yeah. So we'll have this for you, and I'll share it with Jeff, and we'll release it to you once it's cleaned up. It's a lot right now.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. That wraps up the superintendent's reports.
All right, on a new business, can I have a motion to accept schedules A, B, C, F, and P? Linda and Christina, questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is accepted. Or, I'm sorry, the schedules are accepted. On to resolution 1, 2020-21 lunch and breakfast prices. Can I have a motion, please? Sylvia and Lynn, questions or comments?
How different are these prices from last year? I don't have my calendar with me from last year, but what's the change in the price?
It's a 10-cent increase in the prices, and it follows the federal calculation that we have done year to year. That wasn't part of your packet, Dino?
I'm looking for it, but no, I didn't. That's why I asked. I didn't see it.
Okay, it
I
should be
could have
posted,
missed it.
but we can get that to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion's accepted. Resolution 2, bid award for contract for busing for extra trips. Can I have a motion, please? Christina and Linda, questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion's accepted. Resolution 3, bid award custodial supplies for 2020-21. Have a motion. Lynn and Mark, questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion's accepted. Resolution 4, contract with Pupil Benefits Plan Incorporated. Have a motion. Dino and John, questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion's accepted. Resolution 5, extension of services, Burke Pest Control 2020-21. Can I have a motion? Dino and Tony, questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is accepted. Resolution 6, extension of services, Action Fire and Safety. Can I have a motion? Christina and Lynn, questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is accepted. Resolution 7, contract with ATIS Elevator Inspections LLC. Can I have a motion? Sylvia and Tony?
Yep.
Questions? Sylvia, go ahead.
No, I agree. For 6.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Any other questions or comments for resolution 7? All in favor, say aye.
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 Abstain? Motion is accepted. Resolution 8, contract with IBI Group, Ahara 6-month inspections. Do I have a motion? Sylvia and Linda, questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, motion is accepted. Resolution 9, services agreement, Rachel Schwartz. I have a motion. Dino and Lynn, questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is accepted. Resolution 10, agreement with Southern Tier Independent Center for 2019, 2020. Mark and Sylvia, questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is accepted. Resolution 11, authorized use and funding of reserves. Linda and Dino, questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. So I apologize, I need to go back to resolution 10. That is not for 2019, 2020. It's for 2020, 2021. So any questions or comments?
I was just thinking as this meeting was going so smoothly for Mario tonight,
Trip him up.
like there was, he had a rhythm. I'm like looking at the screen, wondering, does he have like a cheat sheet in front of him or something that maybe Kay typed up ahead of the time, or
Came over here, see the hand up my back, sitting there doing all the mouth work for me. All right, so back to resolution 11. Did we have a motion? Yeah. Okay, so any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is accepted. Resolution 12, acceptance of donation. I have a motion. Dino and Tony, questions or comments?
Cliff,
thank you, BAE.
Cliff, do you have a sample there that you could show
You can
them?
get it. I'll show it. Yeah. Okay.
This was very generous from BAE. They contacted us and asked if we would accept this. And
Thank you, John.
yeah. And they said they would deliver and everything. And actually, they're here at the district, just waiting for the board to approve it, and we'll put them out in the buildings where they can be best used. So, it's very generous on their part, and we'll definitely reach out to them and thank them for considering the district.
So took us out of the package. They made these are the headband apparatuses that hook to the shield. And all these are with a 3D printed. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is a shield that would connect onto this headband. And so the shields are replaceable. So after you use the shield, you keep the headband and you discard the shield. And we have 500 of these that BAE donated, and they 3D printed these devices on site. It's really, really, really great of them. It's really nice of them to think of us. And they did donate these to various hospitals and health organizations. And they asked if that would help us. And we definitely said it would. And we could definitely make use of them. And so it was really great. They dropped them off yesterday, actually.
Thanks.
Good.
So all those in favor, I'm sorry, any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, the motion is accepted. Okay, so we're going into the first reading of two policies. The second reading and anticipated approval will be at the July 7th meeting. And Mike, do you have anything you want to say?
Just that these come to the board with the recommendation of the policy committee, and that this is going to get us up to speed with the latest regulations on both these items.
All right. And Shelley, do we have any comments from the public? Okay, thank you very much. Now, can I have a motion to adjourn into? Oh wait, you know what? Let's go ahead and just do the future board meetings here. Future board meetings will be Tuesday, July 7th. It'll be our reorganization meeting. That'll be in the South Conference Room, and we'll also be doing that via Zoom. And can I have a motion to adjourn into executive session to review the recommendations from the Committee on Special Education and preschool?
Committee on preschool.
Do we have also on preschool? Or not? Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. And on the special on the Committee on Preschool Education.
It just said on here, the updated personnel schedule, it didn't specify what it was.
Okay, did we accept the?
Schedule, updated schedule P is what it says.
Rosalie, please unblock. Thank you.
Did I do something?
Yep, got it.
Is that okay? Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, folks. I need to back up a second. We got to go back to the new business. I was supposed to ask if well, I need to have a motion to update to approve the updated Schedule P. There was a previous one and there was an updated one, and that's what I was supposed to ask in the first place. So can I have a motion to approve the updated Schedule P? John and Dino?
And that updated item includes a resignation from a staff.
And that was forwarded to everybody earlier today with a phone call, I believe. So.
All right. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? The updated Schedule P is approved. Now can I have a motion to adjourn into anticipated executive session to review recommendations on the Committee on Special Education and the Committee on Preschool Education? Sylvia and Christina, questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right, we are adjourned into executive session. Sure. All right, thanks, Matt.